Welcome to the Ninth Kami Podcast, an L5R based podcast. This is our first episode. I am the Laughing Spider.
I am Max Williams, otherwise known as Whacked Mackie or Mackie no Oni online.
And this is James Rossi, the Itsy Bitsy Spider online.
There are many spiders.
There are many spiders.
So today we're going to be talking about big brain topics, basically the changes to the Kotei season, which is great. We're not late to the party at all. Still relevant and highly topical. But to get right into it, so we'll start the program with introductions, and because my brain is on fire, I will pass it to Mackie no Oni.
Right. So as I said, I am Max, Whacked Mackie no Oni. I am a crab player in the current game. I was a spider player in old 5R. And maybe someday I will get to be a Shadowlands player again. You never know. I am fairly well known for going to a bunch of Koteis with Crab. I was the top earner for points for Crab along the Kotei season through 2019 and PAX in 2018.
Didn't you win 5 Koteis?
I didn't win any Koteis this season. However, I made top 4 and finals at many Koteis, which helped me earn points. I did win an elemental championship. But yeah, I think I made top 4 at 3 Koteis and got finals in an additional Kotei, including having 1 or 2 where I went undefeated through Swiss to get to the top.
Oof, and that was in a Kotei?
Yes.
Oof. That's hard. That's hard to do, man. So why did you settle on Crab?
Well, when the game first came out, I actually played Crane at the first World Championship because I thought Crane was the best faction overall. Competitively speaking, flowery blue pretty boys speaking, whatever. There are some that are near and dear to my heart, Yajidin, but I wanted to play competitively because I wasn't too attached to any of the clans. When Spider wasn't coming back, I wasn't even very interested in the game. It was only through friends who kept playing it and talking about it that I decided to even give the game a try. And when I decided I was going to go to the first World Championships, I wanted to play to win. And I made the top 16 with Crane at 2017
At
Worlds.
Oh,
yes.
Jesus.
And after that, I started playing locally a lot, and I played through every clan. I played every one of them at least once. Some of them I played multiple times. By once, I mean, like, for a night, right? Like, we would have a tournament night, I'd play the clan for the night. And I managed to win at least one local tournament with every clan, which is great. Even Unicorn back in, like, Corset and Cycle 1 days.
Oh, God.
Unicorniers, it was a deck. It wasn't good, but it was a deck.
It was the only thing they had.
And then Cycle 2 started coming out, and we saw that there were Shadowlands-related cards for Crab. And that was going to kind of be the theme of Crab in Cycle 2 was Shadowlands. And so when I found that out, I decided to start playing Crab some. And I was playing them. I went to Origins in 2018 as Crab and managed to get Hatamoto there. And ever since then, I've just kind of remained clan loyal for Hatamoto status. I also know a lot of Crab players, so I've just maintained Crab, even though the Shadowlands cards suck for the most part.
Yeah, I wish Tainted Hero was playable. I really do. I really like
Yeah.
him.
I don't know what you're talking about. Just kill your crabs with crabs. It's the best card ever printed.
See, that's the other reason to remain crab, is nobody gets to kill more crabs than the crab deck. And as every Shadowlands and Spider player knows, killing crabs is the best.
Yeah,
I
it's the only correct option.
right? I completely agree.
10 out
So
of 10, best card.
better than Toshimoko.
Yeah.
It kills cards.
You want if I spread the darkness, Toshimoko can just leave, okay?
So I'm thinking that spreading the darkness is going to make a comeback. But before we go, before we get into that, Itsy Bitsy, tell us about you.
So, I'm a Spider player that loves complaining.
Really? I don't think you're alone.
I picked up Spider in Emperor Edition. Me and 8 other friends in college decided to get into Legend of the Five Rings. So we went to our local game shop, and they had starter decks for all of the 9 clans back then. And everybody was picking a different one, and I eventually was left with the choice of Crane or Spider, and they both were long, silver-haired, giant samurai sword wielding, like Sephiroth looking characters. But one was wearing blue, and the other ones were like wearing like black, and they look so edgy, and they had all the spikes and the face masks and all this stuff. So I was like, all right, obviously I'm going Spider. And then I opened them up,
Clearly.
saw Daigatsu Kenpeki, snap him like a twig, and the story goes on from there. Been loving it. In the new game, Shadowlands isn't well. Like, they have cards, but we're not like a playable Shadowlands deck yet. So I'm playing Phoenix. I've been absolutely enjoying it.
Do you run the Kensen Haunt?
Nah, not really.
God, but
I'm more just.
you can display a
I'm more
power.
like. I do love Display of Power. It's my baby. That card alone made me want to play Phoenix, just because I love those kind of like gotcha cards. But I'm actually surprisingly playing Phoenix pretty straightforward. I'm not really meddling in the Shadowlands with the deck. I'm waiting until I get a mass amount of Shadowlands cards so I could just make a deck and push it. I probably would end up just joining Max and playing Crab if we got enough Shadowlands support. But it's been a lot of fun.
And here I am thinking maybe I'll end up joining Phoenix, because as we saw on the Phoenix Worlds mat, looks like Phoenix may be the first one to really dive into some of the more tainted side of things here.
No,
I'm not saying that
absolutely.
Tadaka and Yori are doing some experiments. I'm just saying I'm very eager for the results of those experiments.
I mean, basically, in old 5R, the Phoenix was like, "Oh, don't worry, we'll take care of the black scrolls. We won't open them at all." Unfurls the scroll. We're not opening the black scroll. I have no idea what you're talking about. Oh my god!
Phoenix did nothing wrong.
And wait, Yogo. What was the dude's name? He opens the.
Yoga Jinzo.
Yeah, where's he?
I think he's mentioned in one of the
Yep, he's
fictions,
been
if I'm remembering
named,
right.
but we haven't seen
Yeah.
him yet. You gotta wait for the right reveal for a character like that, right?
Like all great Scorpion fictions, they will mention something that we're incredibly interested in, then wait like 5 months before they continue that plot line.
Oh, yeah.
At least you didn't have to wait a year. There's just a giant hole in the wall for a year.
Oh.
Shush, we like
I
that
know.
hole. It's important. Gets our monsters through.
Down with the wall, up with the goblins.
Exactly.
So I am the Laughing Spider on the Discord, and I played old 5R back at the very turn of Samurai Edition. And one of the reasons I actually jumped onto Spider was because the very first deck that I bought was a Mantis starter deck, and then I was given a Lion deck, and I played Lion for a really long time. And then I had 3 Spider players in my meta that would just rock me, like no mercy, because I was only like I think 18 or 19 at the time, and like they would just rock me. Like this was the time where Daigatsu literally stole your people and just took
Oh,
control of
dude,
them.
yeah.
Like, so like I would have this giant tower, and then Daigatsu would show up, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna take that now." Like, so then I hopped clans for quite a bit, and then I took top enlightenment back when enlightenment was a thing, with a dark spider deck, with a spider monk deck, back when they had very good and amazing cards like grappling the snake and and so after I won top enlightenment, I just stuck with spider. And and let's be honest, I'm pretty sure Daigatsu Susumu is like one of the best written characters in the spider, probably next to my boy Bofana. Daigatsu Bofana needs to come back. Like, I'm just saying, he's freaking dope.
10 out of TRF and 10 out of 10 effort. He did a great job. He also had great card art.
But anyway, so I'm playing Dragon right now. I'm not sure how long that'll last, but we'll see, because I actually don't have very strong clan loyalty. It's a strange concept for me. But anyway, we're gonna move on, and we're gonna talk about the Kotei season. There have been a lot of changes. This is very topical. We're not late to the party at all, but there have been a lot of changes. What do you guys want to talk about when it comes to changes? Like, what's the first thing that you guys want to talk about?
I like the story, the new way that your victories and losses can slowly start giving them incentive to affect the plot of the game through dissension points, fiery vengeance, tides of war. Those 3 cards that are going to be given out.
Well,
those look interesting.
Well, at least there's 3 of them instead of just 1. So
Yeah, that way we at least 2 other clans can win something, and not just Scorpion
can't physically
all the time.
claim all 3.
Scorpion can claim 2 out of the 3, though.
Yes.
Hey, I'm pretty sure that if you give the Scorpion players, like, give them like a month or 2, they'll find a way. They'll find a way
to win all 3.
See, it's called cheating, and Scorpion are known for that.
Wait. So wait. So what if everyone's points drops to 0, and then Scorpion are the only ones with Tide of War points, right? So 0 isn't a number, right? It's the absence of a number. So therefore, Scorpion is the highest and the lowest Tide of War points.
And if they also have the most mirror matches.
Can you just lose points?
If your clan just immediately loses the first game of every top cut, yes, your clan will just lose points.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Yeah, you're right. That's how you do it.
So everyone has to have 0.
Except Scorpion.
So they will have the highest and the lowest number of points.
Get on it, guys.
Right?
All you Scorpion
there
players,
need to be
get
4
on it.
of you in every top cut,
I have faith.
And you can't face round 1.
This is the correct options. We got to do this.
God.
No. I very much like this concept. We had our first Grand Kotei. Did they list up the points from that yet? I know they said they were gonna track it.
FFG have said many things that have not been followed up on. I believe this is just the latest in that series.
Yes, but they have posted the points, or at least the fans have.
Oh no, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, this is probably going to be.
It is on the Kotei series page. Crab and Crane are each down to 39. Lion at 39, Phoenix at 38, Scorpion at 47.
To no one's surprise.
And Unicorn at 38, which means Dragon did not drop because nobody made the top cut. And Scorpion went up while everyone else went down. And Unicorn has earned 1 dissension point.
Ooh.
Aw, poor ponies.
And it's weird too, because I've talked to my local pony player, and I'm like, what civil war could even break out? And he's like, I don't know. Like, there was going to be something interesting between secession, right? Between Shinjo Shono and his sister, like which one of them will take the championship, and then his sister steps down, and then like, oh, so there's no conflict inside of the Unicorn clan.
I mean,
like,
the only conflict that could happen in Crab is one that most Crab players hate, which would be Yori versus Kisada, which is just not a story a lot of crab players want, because if Yori wins, so that's a big question in crab is what's the crab's going to be. I
They
mean,
could
they
do that
can.
right. They could do not make it Yori versus Kisada because all crabs will just
That's
side
not
with
true.
Kisada. Make it like
Not all of them.
well,
Not
okay.
all
Well,
crabs.
okay. But like what's Kisada's youngest son?
Sukune?
The one who eventually gets the one that gets nailed to the banner eventually. Make him like up against Yori. That way if Yori wins, he can like nail him to the banner and it could be all tragic, but then you still have Kisada over on the
True.
And
side.
by the way, I love Kasada because everyone has such googly eyes for Kasada, even though that in the old lore he was the worst human ever. Like he did the most.
Listen, Kisada did nothing wrong.
Like,
He brought Shadowlands to the Empire. He did nothing wrong.
like people, like they brought him back through Oblivion's Gate. Like they gave him all this cool stuff. And what did he do before that? He killed his youngest son and nailed him to a plank. And then he tried to start a war with the Emperor.
Yeah, but he had a really cool helmet, so it's all okay.
And a really big stick.
like if especially new crab players, if they go back and they look up the original cards for Kisada, all of them are amazing. Like the one where he just duels a bunch of people at the same time.
To the death, by the way.
The one where he just ends, to the death, and he just ends conflicts. Like Kisada's a very dynamic card.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
I'm very excited, especially now that we're hitting that point where they're starting to release new versions of clan champions. Like we got the new Hotaru, we got the new Totori, we got the new Shoju. I'm very excited to see like what they can do with some of these champions moving forward.
They're just gonna have to reprint Kasada as is over and over again, but with different art.
Yeah, same exact text box, just.
And then what they'll do is they'll up his glory by 1, right? And then they'll add to treat his glory like 0, just so it's officially a different card.
They just slowly increase his military force just by 1 every time they print him until he's like a 14 force monster.
Oh my god, dude! Old 5R had that. Freaking what was the Crab Clan champion who was
Kuon?
Yeah, he was 14 force, and he was like, I just harpoon fuckers. Like that's all I do.
So yeah, I'm excited for Tides of War. I definitely think that some clans, I'm a little scratching my head because again, we just mentioned with the unicorn, there's right now, I mean, there's potential for some kind of schism, but there isn't one right
Could
now.
Chagtai cause the schism? Is like we are going to war.
I expect that. Chags is a very interesting character, at least from the old game. He has a lot of potential in the new one, especially with Mato Suko coming for the unicorn eventually. I think it could be a very interesting
I mean, let's
conflict.
be honest. Chagtai has already taken the role of clan champion in most players' hearts.
I mean, like, what has Alton Sarna even done? Let's be honest.
She broke her vow of marriage.
That's about it.
She also, like, resolved herself to forcing Rokugan to accept unicorn customs whether they like it or not.
By breaking her vow of marriage.
I'm not a big fan of that story.
At least Komoko's mom's dead.
I'm sorry, what?
We got there. Otaku Komoko, her little fiction with her mom dying. That was very important in the old game. That was like the unicorn plot.
Oh, I thought the unicorn plot was Shinjo reincarnates and then kills all of the other Shinjos.
Oh, that comes later.
I thought the unicorn plot was not existing at the start of the game.
Pretty much. It was like Komoko finding vengeance for her mom, and she killed Yogo Junzo.
Wow, let me go burn my copies of that card real quick.
Right? How rude.
Unicorn's big thing with, at least in the old game, when they did the big Day of Thunder tournament, Unicorn was the clan that knocked Shadowlands out of the tournament. Like, beat the last Shadowlands player. So, Komoko was able to kill Yogo Junzo.
Oh, how rude.
Yeah. All we wanted to do was enslave the Empire. Come on, guys.
Hashtag goals, am I right?
But I'm very they can make conflicts for clans. Like Phoenix is prime for dissension because our council is all over the place. Sukune's trying to keep it all together, and Tadaka is messing with forces he shouldn't be messing with, even though we all want him to.
I mean, like, didn't in the old fiction he like wandered into the Shadowlands and just started torturing Oni for like years and years?
Well, he was trying to find out, like, he was trying to get the answers, and he ended up corrupting himself with the answers.
Brilliant.
That's basically the same path Yori went down.
Well, Tadaka ended up becoming a Thunder and, like, redeeming himself. Yuri, like, started tearing faces off of people and wearing them.
Which is redemption in my eyes.
I see nothing wrong with this.
I know, like, Crane Clan probably has the most potential for all of these story prizes because everything is awful for the Crane in the story right now, which makes them perfect for this kind of event.
I feel like they have existed in the Wharf bubble right now. I mean, Lion used to be the Wharf bubble, but I think Crane is definitely purely Wharf bubble because like so Kakita Yoshi is supposed to be this big political player and he's supposed to like outmaneuver and outsmart his opponents and be so cool and then he just gets absolutely left out in the cold and then like that's it. That's the end of his story.
Yoshi is a man who has just experienced the worst day ever of all time. Like, ongoing.
Really?
That has been his character plot. Bad stuff happens to Yoshi. It may as well be the name of the L5R story.
I really want, if any clan should win Dissension, it should be Crane, because I want Hotaru and Kwanin to try to kill each other. I just want to see them throw down.
I hate to be rude, but Kuwanin already lost pretty hardcore to Hitomi. Like
I mean, it's Hitomi. What are you gonna do? She let herself get hit by a samurai sword so she could gank you harder.
Like that was brutal. Like, and he just rides away with a sword in his stomach, and he's like, "Oh, well, that went well." Like,
I mean, that's just how it goes. His plan was perfect, except he forgot to take into account the Miyamoto sword masters that were there to wipe him.
we're gonna pull away from the story real quick because I want to talk about the missing promos.
It's a real big topic.
Oh yes, that's right.
Yeah. I remember Max being pretty upset about this. You wanna tell us what's up?
Yeah, so in the Kotei series here, on their prizes, they announce all the, whatever. Here's a bunch of promos, here's the Grand Kotei promos, and one of the biggest problems I had with them, and I've talked to a few people in the community about this, is a lot of the promos are just repeats. Now, like all the clan champions, we got one of them is the new version of the clan champion, and all the rest of them are core set clan champions. We didn't get new Shoju. I understand why they didn't do Imperial Totori for Lion. But, like, these are cards that already have 2 existing promos.
And by the way, they actually could have done Suko. I don't think anyone would have complained about a spot gloss Suko.
No. And then the other Grand Kotei prizes, a lot of them are already existing promos. And, the new ones for just the Kotei series, those were new. But a lot of them are kind of lacking. And, like, for Crab, I'd be trying to get Nezumi infiltrators, whatever. The thing I will say about the clan champions, for newer players, it's awesome. A lot of newer players probably don't have promo versions of their clan champions because those promos are really old and hard to get a hold of.
And not very good because they're blank.
Yes.
And if you're a new player, you're going to want to like know what your guy does.
And the gold bordered ones are $100 a piece. But
yeah, a piece.
But for players like myself, I have gold bordered Kasada and gold border Yakamo from going to Worlds. I had no reason to go, and Nezumi Infiltrator was just not interesting enough for me. So when PAX came around, I just decided it wasn't worth it for me to go. I didn't want Nezumi Infiltrator. And I had been talking with someone, and the exact words I wrote were like, if they had just had a promo card like Shrewd Yasuki or something like that that goes in every deck, I would be way more interested in going. And then unannounced at PAX, each clan had a promo that is not in this article, and Crab's card was Shrewd Yasuki. And had they just announced this, I'd have found a way to go. I know that there are multiple Phoenix players who are like, yeah, we've already got our clan champion Sakune, we already have Ethereal Dreamers, and nobody's running Yojimbo anymore. And then Ujina was there, and a lot of people were like, well, yeah, I'd have gone for Ujina.
Yeah, Uchina's a very fun card to play with.
PAX had the worst turnout of any Grand Kotei ever. There were hardly any people there, and part of it is that the promos just weren't interesting.
Well, I was so mad. I literally live 45 minutes away from the venue. But I unfortunately had work that day. So I was sitting there and I was like, so I had to literally sit there and watch it all play out. If I had gone, I would have had a good chance of getting a Hatamoto. I would have had a great chance of, scrubbing 03. It would have been great.
I mean, like,
They gave you 10 Koku just for walking in the door.
oh, are you
So I would have
kidding
gotten
me?
my promos.
Yep.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, that's awesome. That's way better than old. Well, okay, I'm gonna talk about that
It was
later.
so few people. It was so few people that like they only had one day.
Oh yeah.
Well, PAX is a one-day promo just by timing constraint necessities. It's a one-day Kotei.
Yeah. I went to the first one. That was fantastic.
Yeah, I went.
I really wanted to come to this one, but alas.
It just wasn't worth it for people to go based on these promos. And then there were new ones that, for some people, would have been worth it. And I think FFG just did themselves a really big disservice by having this.
And it's weird too because the way that the article talks, it makes it seem like the price slots are just all over the place. The Kotei talks about Shibi Yojimbo, right, which is the 2-cost promo, and then the Grand Kotei talks about Ethereal Dreamer, which is the 1-cost promo. And Ujina is completely left out, and I'm pretty sure that the Ethereal Dreamer is going to be at all of the events, and Ujina is the one that's only at Grand Kotei's. So like the 3-cost slot is only going to be at Grand Kotei's, and the 1 and the 2 is going to be everywhere. So I think that they even messed up on their own article.
See, we don't really know for sure because FFG hasn't come out and said anything. We assume,
Grumble.
but we just don't know.
Right.
They really need to I don't know. I don't want to this seems like it shouldn't be that hard to get this information out, but because these promos, especially because for Eugenia, if he is only at Grand Kotei's, that means that promo is actually going to be pretty rare.
Yeah.
Especially because they don't allow you to hold on to Koku
Yes.
in between events.
Which should have been in the article.
Yes, because what happened last year and the year before is people would collect their Koku, they would save them up, and then they would cash them in on the promos they want, and then promos they could, sell to players who can't go to these events.
Mm-hmm. And there were a lot of players who remember Gen Con exclusives from the very first Gen Con, and they had saved up their Koku for the Witch Hunters and the Haruma Skirmishers.
Yeah. I still have my Gen Con Kiku Matsuri Isawa Morisaido, and it's my most prized possession from this game.
Right? Yeah.
Because that promo is insanely rare nowadays.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So when they do stuff like this and they don't get the information on the promos out, like granted this game, the collectible nature of the game, some of these promos do get a bit pricey on the secondary market, and not telling them that certain promos are available at certain events can make them even more rare.
Yeah, to a point of ridiculousness. Like, I haven't even looked to
Yeah.
try to buy Shrewd Yusuke because 2 crab players were at the event.
I think the main disconnect, and I think the reason the article is so sloppy, is because they have their marketing team write up the articles, and they don't actually have Tyler or anyone involved in L5R write these articles. I think it's a completely different department, completely disconnected from what they're actually talking about.
Or things just change. Like they'll tell them to start writing something, and then they'll swap some things up midway through. I don't know how the articles get written. I just know that FFG just needs to
Right.
do better, a
Are you
little
here
bit
telling
better.
me that these articles aren't 100% true and I can't trigger Tutoria on defense?
I'm saying you should try. Try it specifically in the finals of a Kotei. Just wait until that moment, and then you'll
Okay,
find out.
I like this plan.
Just get the promos out. Like, get information on promos, get information on prizes, get them out, get them straightforward, and just make it like, because if everybody knows what's going on, they can make the right choices, and then you don't end up with like less than 30-person grand Kotais, and you spend a lot of money to get that event going there, and nobody shows up.
Speaking of attendance, right, and this is something that I wanted to talk about for a while, is that there's this weird sense of entitlement in the L5R community that is so foreign to me that it's like I've never seen this kind of entitlement before, and I don't want to call it entitlement because I don't necessarily think that it is, but there's talk about how there shouldn't be as many Kotais this year because of the prize selection. Because after you go to 2 or 3 Kotais, you'll have all the promos you want, and that there's really no reason to go to any other Kotais after you get all of the promos that you want.
Well, then just don't go to the Kotai.
No, that's the problem, is that problem has never existed in L5R before, right? Like old 5R Kotais were like giant parties, like with hundreds of people. Like Las Vegas and Seattle had consistently over 100 people. Las Vegas consistently had over 200 people. And it's not about the size of the game. I think it's about how the Kotais are ran, and I think I want to say it's that there's no homebrew prizes. There's no prizes made by the organizers, created for and by the community, you know?
Well, yeah, because if you go back to the old Kotai seasons, the prize support that AEG would provide would be like, oh, if you win like your Kotai, you get like a box of booster
Yeah.
packs. But everybody who's winning that Kotai already has every single card they need. Like, that's not what's important. What's important were the story prizes, the fact that you got to see all of your friends again, you were all able to play the game, the weird prizes that people would bring up for top of
Hmm.
clans. You'd have tournaments where they just give out samurai swords to the winners, and it's just something cool to display. I have a cup, a Spider Clan cup from, oh, which Kotai is it? Let me see. I have the cup right on my shelf right here. Oh yeah, that was New Hampshire 2014. I have a Spider Clan cup, and it's great. And I was the only, and I made top Spider. I think I was competing with like 2 other people, and I think I made it with like a 3-win 3-loss
Oh,
record or something
jeez.
like that. Spider was that good. Spider was not that good. It was a very dishonor heavy meta, but I'm so proud of it. I love it. It's like the soulless versus the
Hmm.
soul in terms of prizes. There was more fun at stake than just, do I get Koku to get promos to
Right.
sell
And
online.
and this is something that the community could do at will. Like this is something that the community could do if it wanted to. But I feel like this is a strange pressure that the prizes you receive have to have value. And I think that's wrong. I think that's inaccurate, if anything. Like for example, this is I'm so excited about this. the Spanish Grand Champion, the Spanish Grand Championship had almost 100 people in it, and I think, and which is like 3 times more than any other Grand Champion to date. And I think that's because they had a crap ton of prizes, and I'm talking like they had what are those steins? They had steins with then they didn't even call it a grand championship. They called it the amethyst championship. They did all of this cool stuff. They gave out luxury play style prizes. They gave away so much stuff, and people loved it. And I think we need to
Yeah.
bring that back, bring that spirit back.
And I think it's one of the reasons why I'm actually very excited about European Kotais not being tied to a single org. People are requesting the right to run a Kotai, which means that they're not going to be run by just this one giant org that's just trying to, get them done because they're contractually obligated to. It's people that want to run these events are now going to start running these events which hopefully means they have a stake in it. Which means they'll want to make it great. They'll want to add some spice to it. They want to make theirs stand out, so that way they can do it again the next year and they can draw in people. So I'm hoping that Europe comes through and really brings some life into the Kotai season again. Because numbers have been slowly going down over the years, and it's clear that while naturally the hype for a game when it comes out versus as it progresses does dim, it would be nice to see some of these Kotai events in Europe bring some spice to the table. Because the American Kotais are still, we have an org. We have, what is it, Yeti? Yeah.
Yeah. The alternative thing that they seem to be doing is they seem to be giving more types of events. But it helps, right? Like having more types of events allows for like stores are going to be running more events. Instead of just focusing on Kotai, there's no reason why the other events can't also have all this stuff. Like can't be these big events.
Because you have to realize, like, even like they have maybe 20 Kotai a year. And the Kotai are spread around the world. Some areas of the world don't even get them. So a lot of groups that want to keep things exciting for L5R are gonna have to need the resources to do smaller events and find ways to really engage with the game without relying on these big giant Kotai events. So I'm curious to see what will happen. I'm hoping that player bases that don't normally get access to Kotais, I hope they can get them. Maybe Australia can have more than a single event.
I hear that China is fighting, like mainland China is fighting for a Kotai.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Also, something that I am really, really interested in doing, and if anyone, if SAR is listening, then hit me up, man, because what I want to do is I want to get, the three-legged toad, you guys know what that is?
Can't say I do.
Okay, it's that big fat toad with a coin in his mouth,
Okay.
right? Right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so rich frog, right? Clearly, money in mouth, it's a rich frog. So what I'm thinking about doing is getting 5 of them that are big enough that I can stick the metal world rings into his mouth, and then I'll do an engraving on the front, or I'll try and find one with like some sort of plaque on the front, and then I'll put an engraving on the front, top of element, and then whatever it is, right? So then there will be 5 of them, and each one of them will have a different element, different ring from worlds. And then if you are top of air roll, then you get the air frog, and it's stuff like
Oh, you
that.
see, that's so creative. It's little things. People don't need like everything. They just need like a few little things.
Right, like when I won top enlightenment with Spider, you know what I got? A Rubik's cube. But goddamn, I still have that Rubik's cube. Like, you're right. It's
Yeah.
little things.
You gonna go Enlightenment again?
Oh,
With the new Enlightenment card?
yes, absolutely.
Oh man, that card, that's like Wandering Ronin level of like, I want to see someone do it. I want to see someone go the distance. It'll at least be funny. Like you pull it off once, everybody claps, and then that's basically it. But like, man, that moment.
God, I look forward to it.
Having more alternate win conditions that people can try and play their little jank hearts out of, it can be nothing but good for the game.
Talking about being able to play your little jank heart off, roles are unlocked, which unfortunately, like, this event wasn't big enough for us to fully, like, it was like a 27-man Grand Kotei, and like what, like two the clan packs have come out. We have pack 6 and then a clan pack that came out, so like the results aren't really that relevant, but I'm really waiting to see what happens with open roles and whether or not we'll see clans have multiple different decks that they're trying out.
Like, for example, Mackie, do you think that with the Cooney Wasteland being as good as it is, we will see Seekers out of Crab?
So, I mean, Seeker can be a deck, but are you talking like Seeker of a specific element or Seeker in general?
Well, because Anil talks a lot about how all the water provinces are garbage, and I'm inclined to believe him, but he basically kind of alluded to the idea that if Crab could avoid playing a water province by playing like Seeker of Air or whatever, put Cooney Wasteland under your box, and it would be really, really good. It would be a very strong province row, like
I
Seeker of
guess the
Void.
better question is, because you're an actually good crab player. Has opening the roles incentivized you to look into new decks?
So, I've played Keeper of Water, Keeper of Earth, and Keeper of Air since Worlds locally, which I wouldn't have been able to do with the roles locked. Now, for the most part, they are variations of a similar deck, but I can go into testing different stuff. Like, so for those of you who don't know, the latest crab hotness is the Krabbits deck, which is a go wide crab deck, with those who serve trying to buy potentially 7 or 8 characters in a single turn. And there are a few different ways to play the deck. You could use the Unicorn Splash and go Keeper of Earth for unfulfilled duty to swing with a bunch of dudes, like rebuild into a Cooney Laboratories, get a bunch of force, and then stand a bunch of them back up with unfulfilled duty to swing again. There's also Keeper of Air Lion version, which runs Echoes to be like, hey, I've got a bunch of idiots. Let's go to a bunch of idiots. Let's just Echoes in a broker or something. Or you can always just Echoes in Casada and be like, here's Casada, deal with him. So those are decks that wouldn't have been possible for me to test and play with at all without open roles. Keeper of Water is obviously really good for Crab because Fight On is a card. And so I've definitely played Keeper of Water, Power Crab with Fight On. But I think Crab would be a lot more static without the roles having been opened at the moment. We will see if something gets done to those who serve and kind of knocks the Kravitz deck down a peg or two. I don't expect it in this next restricted list update, but I think those who serve's time is limited.
I know for Phoenix, we were one of the big clans that were like, we need roles unlocked, because while there is one solid Phoenix deck, there's like actually 2 or 3. We have so many different playstyles with Phoenix. You have air for echoes. You have fire for those weird dishonor decks that people play for fun.
I thought you have. I thought you ran fire for the Imperial Librarian and Honor Bushi.
Yes, you have fire for Dragon Ball Bushi, which is the deck's fun, man. I know it's not the best thing ever, but like when you throw like an insanely high force dude, it's very fun. I'm actually going to soon be trying out the deck where you can give your opponent your Shigenja, and then you use the wizard duel. It's going to be so bad. I can't wait. I'm going to win games with that though. Oh, it's going to be great. See, like that stuff I'm into. Like when Spider was back in the old game, I played Susumu hardcore because no one sees that stuff coming, and then they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm losing to this." It's a very fun deck. It's very fun. I mean, I was one of the I was very like we need to free the roles for a long time. I'm very happy we finally got there. And I hope to see some really exciting decks pop out.
Yeah. I think the biggest strength of freeing the roles, while at top tables it may not change much, you're still going to mostly see your Keeper of Air Scorpion at the top tables. You're still going to see your Keeper of Water Crab. You're going to see a bunch of the same decks that you know and hate at the top. However, it allows for people to explore alternate ways to fight these decks. Let's say that for whatever reason, somebody's like, you know what? I think I've got the solution to whatever deck. Feast or Famine deals with that problem pretty well. Well, they could play Feast or Famine.
Cards like Consumed by Five Fires are a great example of that, because Consumed by Five Fires, once Phoenix had access to that card, it very quickly changed the meta. And if that role was always open,
Oh yeah, there was a time where you had double keepers, wasn't there? Like right after Gen Con.
yeah, we right after Gen Con, no, we started with Seeker of Void because we wanted to win the first ever Worlds, and then Travis was top Phoenix. The keeper, I think we wanted Seeker of Air, and that was taken. So we had to go. So we ended up going Keeper of Water because the province looked interesting to Travis, even though the province ended up not being that good. We ended up getting Master of Waves, which wasn't that bad. But basically, it was very clear that like it was not a good role, and it kind of kept Phoenix in the dirt for a little bit. I had backhanded compliment. That's the only reason why I wanted Keeper, and I love that card. My Phoenix Dishonor deck was awful jank. Like it was stick a Sakune on the field and like make sure she doesn't get clouded, and eventually you'll win kind of jank. But it was fun, and then we got Seeker again, and then we tried out Consumed by Five Fires, and it was just
Too good. I think the freeing of the roles is really good. I think it's really important. I think it allows people to do what they want. I think people are underestimating the value in that. Right?
It was a good experiment. I'll give them that. They wanted to try to create like a limited environment that slowly changes, but like I'm just happy the rules are freed.
The Bushi Builder, the website, the weekend, no, the week after the roles got freed, the servers nearly crashed. Like because there were so many people deck building, like like because I hang out with him on one of my Discord servers, and he's like, yo, if this trend keeps up, the servers will straight up crash by Wednesday. Like,
Yeah, it was exciting. I made like 3 or 4 different decks the minute I heard about it. It's so much fun. I'm excited to see what clans do with all the new cards that are coming out. I'm excited for Clan War. I love that concept of like multiplayer, mainly because like I remember when they did that in the collectible card game with the Dark Naga. What was it? What was its name? Oh, I don't even remember. The one where it was like 4 players versus one super deck,
yeah.
and then they did Siege Clan
Yep.
War. I like that stuff. I hope Clan War is incredibly successful, and maybe who knows? Maybe one day we'll see a like 2 or 3 players versus a single Shadowlands raid deck. That would be awesome.
I completely agree. I think that's an untapped market. Mostly because like cooperative is fun, and people tend to ignore it, right?
And L5R is a game like it's a competitive game. It's a very complicated competitive game, and it's really rewarding when you understand that. But it's also a game that's very story driven and very like it's easy to get emotional to it. I always relate L5R as like kind of like a sports teams. The clans are actual sports teams that you root for. So it's cool. The more chances you have to encourage people to enjoy their clans, get into alliances. Like you could have a Phoenix player and a Lion player team up against a Unicorn and a Crane in Clan War, and you have these cool like almost narrative teams fighting each other. It's very cool. So there's a lot to look forward to, and we're getting novels too.
Yes, full books. I'm totally okay with this. And the very first book might have spiders in it.
I don't think it'll have spiders because Daigatsu's still a bab. he's still on the run, but it definitely will have Shadowlands stuff. I guarantee you. There's no way you have a haunted, abandoned castle in Crablands and you don't have Shadowlands in it.
Right? Yes, absolutely.
I want to see some more of the Lost. I want to see like maybe a goblin. Give me a little
Just
goblin,
one goblin.
just a little one. Goblin sneak. Just put them in there.
No.
Goblins are
You
great.
know who would be awesome to show up in that book? Peckle. Peckle?
Oh,
Peckle.
oh no. She's in Clan War.
No. What's that?
She's that Shugenja that I'm giving my opponent.
No. Oh, freaking what? No, there was in Samurai Edition there was a freaking The Last of Us, or The Last One, where you sacrifice all of your characters except one, and if you sacrifice four or more characters, then the dude you target can't be moved, bowed, sent home, removed from game. Like nothing can touch him for the rest of the
Oh,
game. Like
yeah, there's some great stuff like that. I don't know. I'm excited. It's just the world of L5R has so much potential. It'll be great to see some novels. I'm curious if the novels are going to be related to the collectible card game or the card game story, or will they be side adventures?
I want them to be side adventures, to be honest, because I think we get bogged down and we can't see the forest before the trees, or no, other way around. The lives of individuals become lost in the fog of the overarching story, and I don't like that, because I write fan fiction because I'm a fucking nerd, and the two stories that I wrote are, one of them was about dragon magistrate who resorts to blood speaking in order to find these blood speakers, which is a very trope-tastic story, but it's a very individualized journey for him, right? It's not the crab clan honor is, or the dragon clan honor is at stake. It's I'm tired of failure. I'm tired of losing these guys. I'm tired of finding villages full of dead people. I'm going to do whatever it takes to stop these people, even if it's immoral. And that's a very old story, but it's a very individual story.
Yeah,
And
exactly. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic.
right, and I hope that we get these sort of individual looks into the lives of the people.
Now, here's a question for you guys. Should these books come with some kind of promo card?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Because the other ones have a pretty direct tie-in with promo cards, where it's obvious what the cards should be, right?
Right.
Yeah. I'm going to go with a solid. It would be nice if they did, but I could understand if they didn't.
I mean, novels are pretty hard to produce as is. They usually take a lot of money to publish. If anything, I just want hardcover copies of these books. I know that's really expensive though. I just I I just like collecting books. I collect books, so like I want these books to last, and paperback does not last.
Well, all the current novels have been hardback, haven't they?
And the novellas, yeah, they have, which I'm hoping for.
FFG does a good job with that kind of
I
stuff.
agree.
So that's really exciting.
And I agree. I think promos should be included as well. I think that would be really cool.
So going into next year, it looks like we have a lot of fun stuff to look forward to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There is one more thing that I want to talk about, which is something that we've talked a lot about offline, but the Hatamoto changes, because this is something that I've wanted to put my 2 cents in for a while.
Go for it.
I think the Hatamoto changes are incredibly indicative of a lot of overarching trends that have changed between old 5R and new 5R. And two of the major things that are highly indicative of this is player agency in tournaments and clan loyalty. And I think that there has been a, God, I don't want to sound pretentious, but like a shift in the paradigm of how we view clan loyalty. And there has been, I would like to say, a mishandling of how player agency and player involvement in the story is handled. But overall, like, these two changes have radically altered how we perceive Hatamoto, because we've always been an incredibly loyal group, like L5R as a whole. And on top of that, like, and we want that loyalty to be rewarded, right? We want that. And in old 5R, we had that through influence in the story, right? And Hatamoto wasn't even a thing. Like top of clan usually just got you like a fancy stronghold or something that you could wear around and show that you did well. And not a lot of people even remember what a lot of the top of clan prizes were. But so what you would, but now you actually have a title and things that go with it, and a prize, and like all of these cool things, and that still doesn't seem to be enough. And I think the reason it doesn't seem to be enough is because the Hatamotos don't actually change anything. They don't actually have any influence in the story. And I think that's the reason that people were so loyal and it was so important. And I think that if Hatamotos or just players in general could influence the story simply by participation in these tournaments, we would see a lot more loyalty and a lot more interest in the game as a concept. Because as it stands now, there is, and I think we've talked about this before, there is no reason to go to a Kotei at all if you want to influence the story. And by going, and even if you do go to the Kotei, by going to the Kotei, you don't change your behavior in any meaningful way. You show up, you try and make cut, you try and play the best as you can, and then at the end of the day, if you win, you win, and if you don't, you don't, and that's the end of it. So like if for example there was a way to willingly generate dissent within your clan, that would motivate a lot of people to go to these Kotais. And even and dissent is a really good thing that you could have done with it, right? Because you could have done something fascinating where like if you show up and you do this thing, then you will reduce dissent in your clan. But if you show up and you do this other thing, you raise dissent in your clan. And it's not a random thing, it's a thing that players will go out and willingly try to do. And that is something that old 5R was famous for. Ornitov went to, God, like 20 to 30 Kotais. He flew around the world just to make sure Spider Clan, he failed sadly, but just to make sure Spider Clan stopped being a clan and the Shadowlands Horde came back. And AEG recognized that they gave them a stronghold that the Shadowlands players could use, and the Shadowlands and the Spider Clan could have their own thing. And that is what L5R is about. And I think that's why the Hatamoto ship is so underutilized at the moment. And that's me. This
What do you think about that, Max?
So, what it comes down to for me, the story decision stuff was always a very interesting part of L5R. While I would love for there to be more player influence of the story, I think you also have to admit that there was too much in the old game. There was way too much freedom.
there are ways to control that, but go on.
Yeah, and so if they wanted to do something, they'd have to change stuff around for it. And at the moment, the story just isn't progressing anywhere quickly enough for them to really do this. We were stuck on the same day for a year's worth of lore. So, what decisions could they really have?
So I'm going to throw my idea out because I've always liked it. Do you remember how last year they did this thing where the top two players of every clan at, I don't think it was Kotei level events, I think it was like store championship level, you would get these cards that you could then type in the code online and vote for the next role you get and pray that enough people agree with you. And if not, you just don't get the role you want and you're sad. But we don't have that system anymore because we got rid of the roles. Why don't, like, imagine if FFG decided, okay, we're gonna come up with every clan is gonna have a conflict each Kotai season, like Crane, Hotaru versus Kawanan, and who the Crane as a whole end up siding with, or like with Phoenix, does Tadaka return to the to the Phoenix clan, or does he delve into the dark secrets with Yori? Like, come up with these conflicts with the clan inside each clan, and let the top two players get those cards, go online, and vote for which side they think should win. So you have a story prize that they can have running over the course of the entire Kotei season. After the Kotei season, they just throw it right into the progressing story for the next year. It would be a very simple way because you don't need much. The AEG fell into a problem where they were like, okay, we need a dynamic story decision for every single Kotei. You don't really need that. You just need people to feel like when a big story change happens, they were a part of that.
Well, that doesn't really solve the problem, right? So that goes back into player agency where behavior doesn't change, right? So with that idea, you show up and you try your best, and if you win, then you get to vote, and if you don't, then nothing happens, right? And that's so, like, for example, one of the things that I would like to do is, like, worlds of 2020, right? You get to choose 2 or 4 or 3 or whatever. The top of clan chooses, or the top 4 or 3 of clan each individually choose one human character, so we can't have elephants. One named human character, and then next Kotai season, every single participant gets a vote. And then you can give more votes to Hatamoto's, right? And that's fun. Yeah, and then you choose the Thunders that way.
Or like like even if you don't want to make it big like the Thunders, because we're not sure exactly how they're going to do all that. Like there could totally be a very simple, like, you show up, you cast your vote. Like, I'm sure if they did Satori versus Daisetsu
Oh, yeah, yeah.
story and they made that actually a thing, you show up to the Kotai. If your deck runs Satori or Daisetsu, you're automatically throwing a vote towards that heir, and then like everybody gets to pick which side they want to support. Like, you could do a lot of stuff like that. And I think FFG is dipping their toe in the water. I think with this current story, Tides of War, I would love to see them expand it a little bit, because we like, I don't need all the story choices. I don't need AEG level stuff. I just need a little bit more. Just to keep me going.
Right.
Even if it's like just a small side story that doesn't affect the main plot, but like can be interesting.
Right. I mean, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Like, what do you think, Max?
I think that that is a better option than just having Kotai's in general influence the story. I think, like, as you said, the old game just had too much influence. There was too much stuff going on, and half the stuff never even happened. You would be given this prize that would just never be filled because they couldn't find a way to put it in. Everybody remembers the ones that were filled, but like, I knew multiple people who were supposed to have gotten story prizes that just never showed up. If you keep it more limited, I think it's probably good for the game. It gives people, like you guys were saying, it gives people that little bit of agency to influence things. It makes them feel better about it. But it's hard to just be like, yes, every single Kotai and Grand Kotai, let's let people influence stuff. Whereas when it's like worlds and such, you can do things like that.
Right. Well, like that. I'm talking about like seasons as a whole, right? So throughout all of the Kotais, throughout all of the Kotai season, every player votes during the, like, kind of like how the Elemental Championships worked last year.
Why don't we have just take what the Elemental Championships were and make it like? Is there a reason that you have it tied to the Kotai series as compared to being a different series?
Mostly because of the Hatamoto ship.
I think Hanamoto's, when it comes down to it, is it really comes down to, do we just want Hanamoto's to be a title to show that you're a veteran player, that you're very good, or do we want to make it more of like a formal thing? I kind of like the idea that being Hanamoto just gives you the clout of being able to say, yeah, I'm Hatamoto. I was the best at a Kotai level event. Like, Max can walk up and say, I'm a crab Hatamoto, and people will listen to what he has to say because he probably knows what he's talking about. That's where I feel like Hatamoto is going. Plus, you get a really sick playmat.
Really good.
I think because one of the big things is, I think you want to move story a little away from the highest percent
Mhm.
of players only being able to get access to certain stories. You want to like have tiers. So like you want a general broad story thing that everybody's voting for. You want a clan specific story thing that your clan is concerned about. So that way you want to make sure that you beat out other players in your clan who would vote differently from you. And then you want a couple dynamic like empire sweeping changes that you would put in either grand kotais or championships or such that Hatamotos would be able to consider. Or maybe just make it where like a Hatamoto's vote counts for two. So if you become Hatamoto, you're a general. You're a high-ranking general of your clan. Your opinion matters slightly more than a non-Hatamoto. Like, experiment. And I look forward to over this year if FFG does, because they've set themselves a very low bar. Their bar is track a scoreboard and then maybe throw into a fiction based like halfway through the year, just make a couple fictions that kind of reflect what's happening on that scoreboard and then give out some cards at the end of the year. This is a very low like bar for them. They can make it. If they can make it there, I'm excited to see what they can do going forward.
I agree, and I think that's basically my thought process is that like because like I said, people had been kind of complaining that if I get all the promos at Kotei, then there's no reason for me to go to another Kotei. And I completely sympathize with that because I am not a good player, right? I'm not Hatamoto. I'm definitely not going to make cut, right? So like, if I go to a Kotei, I would like to have something to do other than just get more promos. And I think that I feel like maybe the community is a little too disconnected from itself lately because I could probably, if you showed me a picture of a group of people, I could probably point out all the people who lived in the Pacific Northwest and played L5R simply because I saw them so often. And I feel like there's a little bit too much of a disconnect between the community and itself lately.
I think there's a lot of good that's coming out, and we're gonna kind of have to see how L5R evolves going into this
Mhm.
year. But at least we're moving. We're trying stuff. FFG is they freed the roles. They're opening up how Europe gets Kotais. They're experimenting with more story prizes that are interactive. They're coming out with new ways to play the game like Clan War. So I'm going into this year positive. I'm going into it expecting a lot of fun.
Right? Like the clan dinners at Worlds and at Gen Con, which I think they're actually going to be moved to Worlds, but I think that is so important, and we need more of that because like
Yeah.
because so recently I have been really confused about clan loyalty for a really long time, and I'm pretty sure that like for example, I think Max could probably attest to this, but like clan loyalty has much less to do with the cards you actually put on the table and much more to do with the people you talk to on a daily basis.
Yeah, I'd say so.
For example, Spider Clan or Shadowlands players, we don't put Shadowlands cards into play. But by gosh, I'll get a drink with any Shadowlands player because hey, we're still here. The famous dinner for villains at Gen Con for multiple years has had mantises, they've had scorpions, they've had spiders, they've had every other clan because communities are because it's the people you know. It's the idea that you're all rooting for the same team or you're all rooting against the same team, and it's the joy of it all. Nothing's more fun than watching a Kotai season, and even if you don't get into a Kotai, you can still cheer on your favorite players, and you can still laugh at your enemy clans when they lose,
Mhm.
and then weep when you lose,
Right, and
and then maybe Lion will do something.
maybe. I mean, hey, think about this. Taturi actually lived. Like, that's pretty new for a Lion Clan champion to do. That's not very common.
Give Chagadai a year or two. We'll get there.
Right.
He's got a scoreboard to rack up.
Right, like freaking the Lion Clan champions just drop like flies, and this one is actually still alive. So hey, props for that.
Well, to be fair, he's no longer champion. All hail Suko.
Right. No, I completely agree.
Suko will do no wrong.
I completely like. And by the way, how does that happen? She just wakes up one day and she's like, I guess I'm gonna take the ancestral land of the crane now. Okay, like
It's because they're cranes.
they're not.
Dude, Crane is the most broken faction in the game. They need a nerf, and this was just no. I'm joking.
But like, oh yeah, and by the way, it's always good to remember that the very very first Lion fiction involved the death of the clan champion. So
hey, that's just setting expectations low. Yeah,
expectations for the future.
So I want to do one last thing. With going back all the way to the Seas of War, Tides of War, Fiery Vengeance, and Dissension. Before we've had one event, but it was only a 27-man event. Who do you think is going to win each of the cards, knowing nothing else about the future?
Max, why don't you do this one?
All right. So to start with, let's go ahead and put down Scorpion's going to win one of them. It's probably going to be the one for having the most points.
You don't think Crab's going to do it? Because apparently, according to Tyler, if these scores were run last year, Crab would have won Tides of War.
I know. However, I put points on Scorpion right now. Crab also had most of Kotei season with a deck that is completely unplayable right now, whereas Scorpion had most of Kotei season with their exact
But like,
deck.
what if the RL comes out and they just go all Scorpion cards, all red cards, and then just bam, done. Like,
are there Scorpion cards they haven't restricted yet?
It feels like it.
Well, they could ban backhanded compliment.
They should just outright ban that card because
No, I love that card. It's great. Just leave Maze of Illusion. I like Maze of Illusion. That's my favorite one.
You can have Maze of Illusion.
It's my favorite Phoenix card. Don't you dare. Kyuden Isawa, Maze of Illusion. One fate for a bow and a dishonor is broken. I swear. I flipped the tails last time. I'm guaranteed to flip a heads this time.
Exactly. So I expect Scorpion to win that one. I think Crane will win the conflict, the Dissension one, simply because there are so many Crane players. PAX did a real poor job of showing that because every Crane player decided to show up with Scorpion instead.
Yeah, I was surprised. Even Balthus was playing Scorpion.
Well, you no longer lose Hatamoto status, so...
yeah, that's true.
If you're already Hatamoto for the clan you want to be, why not just play the best clan and try to win? I still think we'll see a lot of them simply because I believe people will continue to play Crane at events that people feel like showing up to. Another note, we should talk about this earlier. There are no longer like clan-specific prizes for showing up to events, so that's another reason why people don't have to play their clan.
Don't you get the playmat?
You get for Hatamotoing.
Yeah, which is essentially top of clan.
Yeah, but like at previous events, you got a card for your clan. Like Spreading the Darkness was Crab's card last year.
Oh wait, that's not a thing? Oh, come on, guys. Well, like, I will say, if it's like the Grand Kotei where they gave you a little bit of Kotei just for showing up, that's essentially the same thing.
Yeah, except you can show up with Scorpion, so get all your Crane promos.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Yeah, they definitely should. They can't. It's a little late to do that now, but especially maybe in like the store champion kits or whatever, that should be a thing. You should have something that like you need to show up with the clan you like to get that particular promo. I don't know. They'll come up with something, but like that is important.
And I think the clan that will win have the lowest score, I'm going to go with Unicorn, because Unicorn is a deck that currently has been tearing it up, making it to top cuts, and I believe could very well continue to do so, even though I'm expecting them to get hit by the next RL pretty decently. And then they just kind of scrub out.
Yeah, that was going to be my...
Unicorn players are good at high rolling and bad at beating good players.
Without calling all the crane players bad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, without calling all the unicorn players bad. I'll call all the crane players bad. Well, unicorn does seem like that clan where if you're not ready to fight unicorn, they can just roll you, and then they hit that mark where they start fighting players who are ready for them, and then they start struggling. The other one is dragon if they just don't get good cards printed, because dragon has... I'm not saying their clan pack is
Look,
bad.
dragon's just gonna end with a perfect 40.
No, they have to at least lose points because they always get at least one person automatically in the cut. So they're always going to lose at least 1 point per Kotei. So they're going to actually...
They ended at 40 after the first one.
Well, that's because they had one person win and then they immediately lost. So they gain 1 point, they lose 1 point.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
So like dragons at a point where like they'll end with a solid 20. My thing was I was gonna say I guess Scorpion makes sense for Tides of War. Fiery Vengeance, Unicorn. Dissension, I actually think it might be Phoenix, because Phoenix does get a lot of people in cut, and they do kind of murder each other a lot. Assuming that you can't double down and win 2 prizes, I don't see anything saying they can't. So I don't know, maybe Scorpion could win Dissension and Tides of War.
I don't actually think that many Scorpions make it into cut, though. I think that's the big thing about Scorpion, is that they are insanely broken, and there's very little that you can actually take from them that would not just completely dismantle their deck entirely. But the thing is that the deck is so goddamn hard to pilot that that only 3 or 4 people actually make it into the cut.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of L5R. It's like when Dragon was garbage, except for Neil and like 3 other players. Yeah, like Hinkley. So like you would have like you would look at their Kotei and be like, "Oh my gosh, Dragon like won or got into the finals of this Kotei," and you'd be like, "Yeah, but all the other dragons like didn't make it past round 3."
Yeah.
Like,
oh, you mean kind of like how Crab had one player who went to a bunch of events and did well, and most of the time every other Crab at those events went negative win-loss?
oh, how's the
God.
physical therapy, by the way? Because I know carrying the crab has been really bad on your back.
Oh,
very tough.
Like, yeah, I completely agree. Like, I think that Lion is actually going to win the Tides of War, and I think the reason this is because when the first pack of the new cycle shows up, they will be really, really, really good. And I think that there's going to be a delay. I don't think they're going to RL those who serve fast enough for Lion to be, and I think Tyler might just turn a blind eye to the degeneracy that Lion might become, because they've been so low for so long that I'll just let them hang out in the top for a little bit before I nerf them, right? And I think that it's gonna get like really out of hand. And I think that if you allow me to put on my tinfoil hat, I think Lion might be able to win Dissension and Tides of War if nothing is done to those who serve and City of the Rich Frog. But I'm also not good at this game, so
I would love to see it.
I think we'll see those who serve get the boot. Maybe not this RL, but quite possibly the next one.
Anything that reduces the cost of characters is so dangerous in this game, and for such a sweeping effect. I mean,
especially with Rally coming.
Yeah, there's just so much stuff.
Rally? Oh,
the new keyword.
Yeah. Like, there's just so much potential for nonsense. What I really want is, what's the keyword that your stronghold starts face up?
The province, Eminence.
Oh yeah, sorry, province. I want Eminence cards to be so good that everybody starts running them, and then Shiro Shinjo just starts running people over.
Oh my god!
And then everybody stops running Eminence. Like, I want that kind of mistake. Because that stronghold, when it was coming out, I was very adamant on the idea that, like, either it's going to be the most broken thing or people just aren't going to play it. And unfortunately, we're in the aren't going to play it time period. I want to see that card see play.
Maybe
I like that.
HMT will get nerfed someday and it'll be usable.
Why would you nerf a Lion Stronghold?
Because
my
the
God.
Lion deserve it.
They won that. They won the first Worlds. They don't deserve any good cards after
Exactly.
that. You win Worlds,
That's
it's
why
over.
we've gotta-
Like, I'm a Phoenix player. I'm on borrowed
We
time
need to
now.
go and kill Crane, okay?
Crab have been the Crab and Scorpion have been the cleverest clans because they have cleverly not won Worlds.
Exactly. It's all planned.
Because once you win Worlds, your cards become garbage forever. So Phoenix will die. Eventually, the game will come down to only Scorpion and Crab being the only clans that haven't won Worlds and thus still have good cards.
Wait. You're forgetting something else. You're forgetting something else. Whatever clan Anil plays also becomes garbage. because
He tried, man.
Because remember, it wasn't a dragon nerf, it was an Anil nerf.
Yeah.
Yeah, this year's gonna be fun. I'm gonna be excited. Worst comes to worst, we just bant about nonsense for like a whole year.
I'm okay with
It's
that.
gonna be great. Best comes to best, we have we banter even more, and we get to laugh at how the game turns out. I can't wait.
I agree. And for the love of God, please print more Shadowlands cards.
Yeah,
Like-
absolute best comes to
I would like
best.
at least like 2 or 3. And I'm sure we'll do a future episode about like Shadowlands and what they could do to make it better. But like, let's get at least one more out there.
I mean, let's
I don't need all of them. I need like 1 or 2 a year. That's all you need to do.
let's be honest. Let's be really honest. The goblins are quite possibly the most playable Shadowlands cards. They are really good.
Well, it was Lion playable. Goblin Sneak was Lion playable during the Elemental or the Imperial
I
cycle.
mean, it still sees some play today.
Yeah,
Dude,
great card.
Goblin's still really good. Like if you are really weak against Kyuden Isama, run the Goblin Sneak.
Yeah, Shuffle
Yeah.
Goblin is still good too.
He is
Yep.
amazing. I absolutely think he's amazing.
Shadowland Pony is like okay.
Hey, I put Cavalry Reserves in my Crab deck just to bring back that card.
Yeah.
Wait. Does the Crab Cavalry Master, does he work with Cab Reserves?
You'd think so because they printed him to counter that, but no, he doesn't work with stuff that puts into play.
Oh my fucking god.
Yeah, just like Grasp of Earth, which is the Phoenix card from Corset that is supposed to stop this nonsense, and it
He
doesn't.
triggers off of things moving there and being played there. Things being put into play do nothing.
Oh my god, so he works with Mado
Yes.
and nothing else.
He works with conflict characters.
Dude,
But yeah.
Tomato deck. I love that deck so much. Killing crabs for money is so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Get paid to throw stuff on the fire. A never-ending line.
All right, and I guess we were able to banter for a bit, and we'll call it here for this our first episode. Thank you to the people who tuned in, and have a wonderful spidery day.
If you lasted this long, you're a trooper.
A real trooper.
Oh, you know.
In before the comments about how spider should never be a clan.
Oh my god.